In this episode of We're in the Little Season, we answer the question of why we're all here if the rapture had already happened and how this relates to being in the little season. We weren't left behind, but our ancestors probably were. For those that aren't aware of what the rapture is, here are the Coles Notes. And if you already know what the rapture is in Christianity, then skip to this time code. But the rapture or the gathering of the elect involves being here in one moment and then carried away by the angels in the clouds to go above us to heaven as an act of redemption. And yes, heaven is a very real place. Paul also best describes this by saying, "In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump, for the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed, for this corruptible must put on corruption, and this mortal must put on immortality." Paul also describes this event in the Thessalonian letter, that the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of God, and the dead in Christ shall rise first. Then we, which are alive and remain, shall be caught up together with them in the clouds, to meet the Lord in the air, and so shall we ever be with the Lord. So we're here one moment, then gone the very next second by the angels, carried to the clouds and onwards to heaven. When does this little season eschatological view place the rapture and the little season? In this variation of the little season, whilst within the historic postmillennialist context, the little season would be where we are and have been since the release of Satan, which this channel maintains could have happened around 1337 AD, which interestingly enough coincides with the Renaissance, because leave it to Satan to in his pride usher humanity into an age of rebirth where we Christians know to be an age of deception and all the wickedness that comes from this. The gathering of the elect would have happened within the first century. I will leave a link to this timeline for your reference in the description below. How the premillennialist eschatological view feeds into the hopes and dreams of so many Christians today. With Satan and his minions creating iterations of the Mark of the Beast events, like what I consider to have happened with the medical crisis of 2020, forcing the population to take an experimental pharmakia that politicians were saying we wouldn't be able to buy or sell without this pharmakia, no wonder Christians around the world want to flee the wickedness of such systems and changes in line with the 2030 UN agenda, a topic for another video. Back to why the rapture in the context of the little season is important. This is important because the Bible is the only sacred text, as far as I know, which talks about this season of deception of the little season. There could be other texts out there that may have a variation of this view. If you know of any, drop a note in the comments that I can take a look. But at any rate, we should get this view right, at the least, so that we're prepared for what is about to unfold and to give thanks to God for having fulfilled much of prophecy in history, with much more fulfillment to come. Revelation appears to me to be providing a sequence of events with some interjections of visions depicting historical occurrences between the Jews and the Romans, and arguably the Christian church before the end of this age of sin, wickedness, and redemption, and then the spectacular and righteous everlasting days of the new heavens and new earth. This historic postmillennial view would see that the seal and trumpet judgments occurred in the first century, culminating with the fall of Jerusalem in 70 AD, with the vial judgments happening against the ancient Roman Empire. It may also be possible that the seal, trumpet, and vial judgments occurred in the first century, culminating in the fall of Jerusalem in 70 AD. I haven't removed this as a remote possibility, save for Revelation 16 verses 19, which I see no historical fulfillment in the events that happened leading up to the fall of Jerusalem in 70 AD. I do see the fulfillment of Revelation 16 verses 19 playing out with the ancient Roman Empire, where at one point the empire was divided into three parts and the nations of the cities fell, meaning there would have been military, religious, and socio-economic ramifications and upheavals to affect the ancient Roman Empire, with the empire being later reunified under Aurelian and Constantine. Where eschatological views are similar, it does appear to me that this historic postmillennial view does agree with the premillennialist view that the gathering of the elect has to happen first. As Luke says, this is the greatest redemption of Jews and Christians from the Great Tribulation, which this channel maintains would have had to have happened in the first century, as opposed to this event happening in the future, say the 21st century. Anyway, hope this shed some light. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, and subscribe for more videos like this, and I'll see you in the next video.